Benoit Blanc is back, which means by extension, Rian Johnson is also back. His brand new film, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, had its world premiere last night here at the Toronto International Film Festival.
You're the only one on stage with the Monsignor at the time of his killing. And you're the only one at that church who hated his guts.
The spirit really moved him today, huh?
So tell me, what the hell happened?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
You know, there's like a joke about this show that, people will say like, all he does is talk about the banjo, or like they wait for me to bring up the fact that I'm a banjo player with every guest. But I do want to mention that I haven't spent this much time talking with anyone before the interview about our mutual banjo playing.
This is going to just cement your reputation as the banjo guy, which I know is what everyone wants in life. You want to become the banjo guy.
Well, you almost became the banjo guy.
I was so close. I coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Are you still? Do you still play?
I can still pick out a tune. Yeah, when I was in my 20s and was actually into it, I lived in Santa Monica, right down the street from a place called McCabe's Guitar Shop.
Yeah,
which is a
McCabe's.
real classic. So I would just wander in there. That's where I found Pete Seeger's How to Play the Five-String Banjo book, and that was kind of my launching pad.
What you're saying is, if you didn't play the banjo, you wouldn't have become the best-selling filmmaker you are today.
Or if I had stuck with the banjo, I would have been a famous banjo player.
Yeah, exactly.
And and Bella Fleck.
I love the film. Congratulations on it.
Thanks, Tom.
Last night at TIFF, you said, I'm in my favorite place tonight, the Princess of Wales Theatre at the Toronto International Film Festival on a Saturday night. And I really believe you.
It's because I'm a bad liar that it's actually true. The cast would tell you this. We were on set filming, and like a year ago, and I told them what I can't wait for is for all of us to be there in the Princess of Wales Theatre at the Toronto Film Festival watching this movie.
Why? Why this place? Why Toronto? Why Canada?
Well, we've done I've been coming to TIFF now. This is the fifth movie that I've screened at TIFF. Brothers Bloom was the first one, and then Looper opened the festival. It was actually the first I believe it was the first non-Canadian film that opened the festival ever. And we thought we were going to get booed off the stage, but it was a very lovely reception. And then all three of these films have premiered here. It's something I've come to really look forward to, and I don't take it for granted. I'm really thankful to Cameron and the festival for having us back. But the crowds are it's a movie-loving town, and you can feel the energy in the room. And these movies are meant to be big entertainments, and people show up ready to have a good time. So it's always just great energy in the theater.
I tell you one thing, they're hard to talk about. They're hard to do an interview about.
Just say you try, Tom. Let's see what you got.
I got very little. I'm a banjo player, but even that's interesting. Like we got this press note from you saying, please no spoilers, but also, I'll use this space to thank you for always having been so deft and sensitive in preserving the pleasure of surprise for your readers and our viewers.
You see how I do that? It's like a jiu-jitsu move.
Tell me what you
use the energy again.
You make us feel like we're on your side.
I bring us all on the same team. That's what a director does.
Everyone thinks I did it. I didn't do it.
This goes way beyond normal police work. This is something you and I have not experienced. A perfectly impossible crime.
Can you break down for me a little bit about how you organize one of these very complicated movies? Like I was imagining like a corkboard with the red string around it, like in a cop movie from the 80s.
Yeah, no, I work in little notebooks. I work the opposite scale. I work in just kind of pocket-sized moleskin notebooks, and I'll outline. But outline is not just outlining plot for me. It's also coming up with the characters, figuring out the themes, figuring out the structure of the whole thing. And I'll work in that form for 90% of the writing process. Like I'll work for 7-8 months just outlining. And then the very last thing I do is I sit down and I actually write the script and write the words. So
how did that come to you? How did that become the process?
It's just the way I kind of learned it. My dad was not in the entertainment business, but he was a big movie buff.
He wanted to be a filmmaker,
He wanted to be a filmmaker. Well, I think he never really, set out and made a go at it, but I think that was always his secret ambition. So he went to when I was in high school, he went to a story structure seminar by this guy, Robert McKee, who's a big, story. If you've seen that movie Adaptation, it's the character Brian Cox plays, who is up on stage. That's like he's playing like McKee.
Somebody else betrays his best friend for a woman. If you can't find that stuff in life, then you, my friend, don't know crap about life. And why the fuck are you wasting my 2 precious hours with your movie? I don't have any use for it. I don't have any bloody use for it.
Did you go to this as well?
My dad took me to this. I was like 17 years old, sitting in there with all these professional screenwriters, and he broke down Casablanca. And to this day, everything I really know about story structure, I learned like in that weekend. And so I just learned in terms of thinking of the architecture of a story and how that translates to the audience's experience emotionally in the theater. That was something that kind of took root very early on for me.
I mean, lovely of your dad to do that for you.
It was pretty great, yeah.
Was there anything in there about like a reveal being earned and not tricked? I know that. Tell me if that makes any sense to you. I think about sometimes about how these there's often a reveal at the end of these movies, and they always feel like when I get them, I go, yeah, right. I feel like I earned them, and sometimes with reveals, I feel tricked. Do you know what I mean? I
absolutely do. It's. I mean, there's a couple layers to it. There's first of all, I mean, that's usually, I think, a matter of whether or not the audience feels set up for the reveal. You have to get good at planting things early. I've learned one really great tool in the toolbox with these movies is humor. I found that if you can plant a clue in a joke and make an audience laugh, they'll think that was the point of it. They'll be less apt to tag it in their head and say, oh, I bet that's coming back. That can be very useful. But there's also a bigger kind of thing of suspense versus surprise, the old Hitchcock thing, where Hitchcock famously did not like the whodunit genre because, and he never really did it because for him, surprise is he always used that analogy. I'm sure everyone's heard. If you do a scene where 2 guys talking across a table, and then at the end of a 2-minute scene, suddenly a bomb underneath the table blows up. The audience sits through 2 minutes of conversation, and then they have 1 second of surprise. Whereas beginning of the scene, they start talking, you boom down underneath the table and reveal the bomb, then suddenly you have 2 minutes of tension. Yeah. So it's put on a grand sense in terms of these movies, you can kind of take the same approach, and I always do that. The pleasure of the movie can never be in, oh, that person did it, because the reality is that's never going to be that entertaining. You have to figure out a way to build an engine into it to keep the audience really engaged and entertained, and to make the ending more satisfying on a deeper level.
I think what you also do is you make people think about things outside of the movie while they're watching the movie without being too didactic around it. Yeah. And one of the things that this film made me think about, when you think about wealth inequality in some of the last movies, but like in this one, faith, forgiveness, grace, all of these things on my mind. The majority of the story takes place within a Catholic church. What was your relationship with faith growing up? I saw that you called yourself a youth group kid, so I assumed like not Catholicism, because I was a Catholic and there was no youth groups, just shame.
Yeah, just shame. we had some shame in the youth groups. Don't sell me short. I grew up very, very Christian. I was not Catholic. I was Protestant. I was what we would now call evangelical.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
real deal.
The real deal. So, and I was really a Southern California youth group kid, but it wasn't just that it was like a social thing for me or my parents dragged me to it. I was very, very Christian through into my early 20s. I framed my day-to-day life and the world around me through the lens of my relationship with Christ. It was a really personal and really meaningful thing for me. And then into my 20s, I kind of slowly fell away from it, and I'm no longer a believer. But it was
a slow process of that. It wasn't like you read a Dawkins book or anything like that. It was sort of
no. There wasn't a big kind of seeing a horse beaten by the side of the road and there is no God. There was no dramatic moment. It really was kind of honestly, it was not going to college in terms of having it trained out of me, but really is about meeting people from a lot of different backgrounds, and kind of I just very slowly kind of drifted away from it. Yeah,
I find that people like you and me who grow up within the church and within the faith, we never really leave our exploration of it, though.
Yeah, it never leaves you, and anyone who's truly had faith in their life, they'll tell you it never goes. And also, I don't know, this is hard to explain without feeling like you're somehow, I don't know, I don't want to not to minimize faith in any way by making this comparison, but I think maybe you'll understand this, that living with a true belief is the most powerful narrative experience I will ever experience in my life. It's the most immersive because it really is truly. I had a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God that framed every single day. And so that was an incredibly powerful thing. And to the point where when I lost that, you have to find something else to replace it, basically.
And what'd you find?
Well, it's complicated. Honestly, I got very into. It's going to sound insufferable. I got Jung actually helped me out a lot.
Shadow self.
Well, yeah, and I think Jung is kind of tossed around with a mysticism a lot of the time, and that side of it. For me, it was much more about the notion that the psyche has a structure, and that almost like a skeletal system, there are similarities between all of us. And so the notion that I could take these feelings of these instincts that I had in terms of an exterior God and realize, I am talking about something that really does exist, but I'm talking about something that's within me, I guess.
I should say for people, Jung, like the psychologist and philosopher Jung, I actually turned to mysticism, so I know
Right.
That's where I went. But you are aware I can hear this conversation you're having with yourself in this film, right? Like there is a scene, and can you raise your hand if this is? I don't think this is a spoiler because it's pretty early in the film.
The Judd and Blanc conversation.
Yeah. So can I do that?
Please, yeah.
So the priest, Blanc, like Dan Craig's character, comes in. He says essentially like, I'm going to tell you what your film's about, by the way, Ryan. You're welcome.
Please do.
He comes in. I got a lot of thoughts. He comes in and he says he looks at the structure around him and the church that he's in, this very grand church, and he starts talking along about stories, and he starts talking about this, if I can break it down, you tell me if I'm wrong. These are stories we tell ourselves to create order out of life and to sort of impose order on ourselves, but they're ultimately meaningless. They're just something we tell ourselves to get through the day. Very Ricky Gervais' invention of lying, like, we just do this so we can get through the day. The young priest, Y-O-U-N-G priest, the young priest, says, no, there is something ineffable in this world. There is a spirit. There is something we can't make sense of. There is something unspeakable in this world around us that guides us, that maybe we have uncovered, but we don't have language for. So we tell stories because that's the closest approximation of it that we have.
It's a very good encapsulation, and it really gets to, Jung in terms of, symbols, in terms of the true meaning of the word symbols, which a lot of people mix up with allegory. And a real symbol is something that captures kind of the undescribable in a way that you immediately kind of identify it, which is kind of what Father Judd is describing in that scene. Yeah.
I mean, that's what kind of brought me back to any sort of like religious life is that knowing that there's something going on that feels funny to me, feels otherworldly to me, and I can use the rituals of my childhood to access them, even though if I don't believe in the whole thing. But this isn't about me.
Sure it is, Tom. Come on.
Is that you? Are you arguing with yourself a little bit there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in the movie, Father Judd, who's played by Josh O'Connor, is kind of, he's, for lack of a better term, the protagonist of the movie. And he's a very good-hearted priest, and I kind of put everything that I genuinely love about Christianity and about what it's all about to me and to him. Blanc is he's not the antithesis of that. There's another character, Josh Brolin, who's kind of where I put all the stuff that I don't feel so great about in Christianity. Judgment. And us against them, and sort of the notion of fighting the world for the church and all. Anyway, but Blanc is somebody who is doesn't believe and who is looks cocks an eye at the church and doesn't really and so for me the interior dialogue for myself of having both of those characters inside me and letting them talk was a big part of it. And it's a fun murder mystery romp.
This is not the fun murder mystery romp chat, Ryan. Okay, I understand that's you. That you are all three of those people at different parts. You are
not to sound too foo-foo, but I think every writer tells you the same thing. I think you are every single character in the script. You know, the people in the script, the characters in the script are not people. The movie is a person, and every character in it is a fragment of that person. Does that make sense?
I'm going to break it all down here.
All right,
We'll go one by one and figure it out.
Nobody's listening anymore. If anyone is not tuned out by this point.
Oh, Ryan, nobody was.
All right, thank
God.
No. I had a radio show with a buddy of mine in college. We went on at 3 a.m, and we did a contest once on there where we said, let's prove no one's listening. And we offered to give my car away to the first person who called in.
And?
Nothing.
You still got that car?
Still got that car.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah,
we should try that and see what we can do about it, because I think we'd hold on to the car for
Yeah.
a little while. The other thing that it made me think about is that often, instead of these feelings that we can't express, we express them through stories. What a lovely way of looking at religious life. Sometimes people end up worshiping other people instead. And in Josh Brolin's character, I mean, I think that's very much what happens. It can be a priest. It can be a politician. Was that on your mind when you were writing this?
Not at all.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you. Good talk. Absolutely. I think that, obviously there's definitely kind of a cult of personality thing that can sometimes take hold. I mean, a little more interesting to me than that, because that tends to be very specific, was the notion of the actual thing that Josh Brolin's character, Monsignor Wicks, who has this kind of cult of personality persona, that it's not just that he's kind of a rock star, and a bad rock star, but the message he specifically pounds home that is truly seductive, that I get, because I think that outside of religion, from whatever viewpoint you're from, this is something that's very seductive that a lot of us, including myself, find myself drawn into, which is if you can convince a group that they are under siege, you can convince them to do some pretty rancid stuff. You can convince them to do some pretty terrible things if you feel that that you're under attack and from an existential threat. And so, so that, I think, is the essential thing that Wicks is, more than his charisma, more than his personality, more than even kind of faith. It's him putting up the castle walls and saying, we're all in here together and we're under attack and we have to fight back, and it's us against them. And basically the opposite of everything that of the stance of everything Jesus actually said in the Bible.
You know, for a guy who makes fun murder mystery romps, these are sneaky, subversive little films.
No, I apologize. No,
do you know what I mean? There's a little,
nonsense.
you know. Okay, sure. There's sneaky little subversive little films.
We're on Netflix. We can't be subversive. You're crazy. You're crazy.
I saw that's the new tagline. I saw that underneath it. What does bring you back to this genre over and over again? I know it is fun for you.
Well, I did grow up a big Agatha Christie fan. More than that, I grew up watching with my family, those adaptations in the late 70s, early 80s, like Murder on the Orient Express with Finney, but also Death on the Nile with Peter Ustinov and Evil Under the Sun. And those movies were just like the best time I had. It's just like the most fun a movie can be. I also, though, I love the form, I think, because it has such a broad spectrum that is kind of under its umbrella. Everything from kind of the comedic romp that Glass Onion, the last movie, was, which is kind of the Last of Sheila or Evil Under the Sun, to this more gothic tone, which is kind of the origins of the genre with Edgar Allan Poe or John Dixon Carr. There are so many different variants of the murder mystery and so many different ways to go to it. And that, to me, is exciting because I love making these, but I don't ever want to make a movie where it doesn't feel like I'm trying something new and kind of scary, like, oh, can we actually pull this off?
Yeah, you could have. Hey, they could have just been. You could have just made the first one again and the second.
Well, I couldn't. I would have gotten bored.
So you would have been forgiven. People have done it.
Yeah, I guess. I guess for me, I don't know. I'm also very grateful to have a creative partner in these, Daniel Craig, who. We both of us have a low tolerance for boredom. So I think we both hold each other accountable to, is this movie really worth making?
I find something interesting about all these movie stars being in the same movie at the same time.
Yeah, me too. Good.
You know what I mean? Like, I do find something interesting about it. Daniel Craig in this one, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Kerry Washington, Jeremy Renner, Mila Kunis, as I mentioned earlier. There are a lot of stories I hear about big ensemble films that don't go very well, about people locking themselves in trailers, and people fighting. You've talked about being on set with these folks like drama camp.
Yeah.
What's the feeling you get when you get all these actors together and everything clicks? And do you ever feel any nerves right before everyone shows up?
You always feel nervous because it's like throwing a dinner party. You're kind of nervous. Like, is this person going to get along with this person? Is this going to,
You're assuming I get invited to dinner parties.
I made a big assumption there.
Yeah,
So this is true.
Right, you're right.
You invited banjo guy?
Yeah.
You know he's going to bring the banjo, right? Oh, God.
Okay, so you're nervous before they,
Yeah, but so are they. I mean, that's the thing. It's, I don't know. We do. And I know this is kind of like the PR speak that everyone does when they're doing press for a movie. It happens to be genuinely true with
this
these.
time.
Hey,
you told me earlier you can't lie. I believe you.
That's true. We have the best time making these. I think to some extent, like I thought for the first two, God, we've gotten really lucky with just getting a good group of people. And I think that's a part of it. I think another part, though, I think it is a little bit of a self-selecting process because we're going after, movie stars. We're going after people who are used to leading their own movies, and we're offering them parts in an ensemble. And so anyone who's going to say yes to that is only going to do it for one reason, which is they're genuinely excited about being part of an acting ensemble, and that turns them on. And so there's no other reason to sign up for one of these movies. So when you get actors of that caliber together who genuinely are feeding off of an ensemble energy and loving their fellow actors and kind of wanting to soak that up, then you get people who don't go back to their trailers and hang out with each other, and you get a really nice energy on set. So, or at least, knock on wood, that's what we've gone so far.
I spent some of my time doing the show watching films that feel more like how much pain can I possibly tolerate?
Yeah.
And it was a joy to watch a film that was so just entertaining and enjoyable to watch, but also made me think about much bigger things in my life. And I really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it, man.